Welcome to Bicycle Retail Radio, presented by the National Bicycle Dealers Association. This is where bicycle retailers, industry innovators, and advocates come together for real conversations about what's happening right now in bike retail, from cargo bikes to carbon fiber. Each episode explores the challenges you're facing, the opportunities ahead, and the people driving our industry forward. We go beyond the surface to uncover practical strategies, fresh perspectives, and authentic stories from shop owners who've been where you are. Whether you're navigating staffing challenges, adapting to market shifts, or looking for your next breakthrough idea, this is your community. Since 1946, the NBDA has been in the trenches with specialty bicycle retailers, providing education, advocacy, and connection when you need it most. Want to be a part of this community? Learn more about NBDA membership at nbda.com.
Specialty bicycle retailers are the heart of the cycling industry, and the National Bicycle Dealers Association exists to strengthen these businesses through education, research, communication, and advocacy. When we create thriving bicycle retailers, the industry and the cycling community follows. Memberships are available for individuals, retailers, and association partners committed to supporting the mission. Join today at nbda.com.
Hey listeners, welcome back to Bicycle Retail Radio. Thanks for being here. Today, I am thrilled to bring you a conversation. I have Mark Vandermolen, he's Managing Director, and Steven Tenure, Aftermarket and OEM Sales Manager at FSA Vision. They're going to share their personal journey, how they got into the cycling industry. They're going to dive into product ranges, innovations, talk about their favorite product, talk about trends. So if you're a retailer, mechanic, cycling enthusiast, this one's for you because the stoke level's high. Enjoy. Mark, Steven, welcome to Bicycle Retail Radio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Steven, I love that nice Cannondale behind you in the photo. Lots of things to talk about today. It gets me excited every time I see a cool bike. I love what we do. I love this industry. Yeah, listeners, Mark, we were just chatting before we started recording, just back from the Taipei show, huh? How was it?
Yeah, it was a good show. I mean, certainly there's a lot of shows that are kind of going on right now. There was Cycling World Dusseldorf the weekend before, and Seattle's coming up for us in North America. But Taipei show was well attended. We were pretty busy all days of the show. It's changed a lot over the years. It's morphed into a little bit of a more regional show, but there's still some distribution and some sourcing conversations that are happening. So it was good to be there, and happy to be part of the kind of the global scene that's going on.
Yeah, it's a neat time in our industry. It's a trying time, but I also feel like riders are excited. Retailers are telling me that they're having busy weekends, that people are in, they're looking for new product, they're looking to get their bike fixed, and I'm personally excited. I was just, it's April here in upstate New York and it's 30 degrees, and I'm ready for like a 70 degree day out, pure sun where I can get out there. Um, I was listeners prepping for my conversation today. We've got Mark and Steven here from FSA and Vision, and everyone. Hopefully, if you're a listener and you've been for a while, you know I'm a huge cyclist and I'm a huge fan of FSA and Vision products. So, really excited to have this conversation today. It's always fun for me to get to know our guests on a more personal level, and when you were talking about brands like FSA and Vision who have been around for decades, it's kind of neat to get to know the people behind the brands, and that's what I hope to do today, to give a more like human side, to give you a little glimpse into what's happening at FSA and Vision, and how retailers and other brands like need to get involved and need to pay attention. So you guys, thanks for making the time. I know it's a busy time for all of us, so I appreciate you guys being here. I thought
Yeah,
I thought if it was fun, I would just jump in and like get to know like how'd you end up in the cycling industry? I always think it's fun to learn people's past. So maybe Mark, I'll start with you if that's okay.
yeah, sure. I've been a cyclist, since a kid, and fell into racing in my teenage years, and really wanted to continue down that competitive pathway, and but also needed to work at the same time, and that brought me into retail post college. And little did I know it at the time, but that kind of taught me the ropes on retail, and taught me the ropes on bikes in general, and the service side of bikes, and selling bikes, and marketing of bikes, and P&A. And then eventually had an opportunity to kind of move to the industry side of things in my late 20s. And I'm probably skipping over some of the boring parts, but eventually that turned into multiple roles at a few different companies that eventually led me into full speed ahead. But I've been a serious cyclist since a young age, and I think if I include retail in my cycling career, as far as the industry goes, probably 30 years in the industry so far. So.
I love that. So, listeners, Mark is the USA Managing Director, and I always feel so fortunate to meet someone who has a role like you do that started in retail and understands the retail environment. I think there's a lot that can be transferred over, just as you're making decisions for the brand and how you work with retailers now. So, love that. Maybe Steven Tenure, Aftermarket and OEM Sales Manager, could you tell us how you got into the cycling industry?
Yeah, so kind of a similar background to Mark in regards to start off young. Both my parents were avid cyclists, and really got excited about, turning a wrench and working on bikes. I always remember when I was about 12 years old buying my parts from Jensen and Price Point, probably dating myself on that with Price Point, but really got excited watching New World Disorder as a kid. And then when I was in high school, worked for REI as a mechanic, and for 7 years did that throughout college. Absolutely loved the industry, and it's always been a passion of mine. After that, I did leave the cycling world, but always wanted to get back. And luckily, FSA and Vision at the time, when I moved to Washington, were hiring, and that was 8 years ago, and I haven't looked back. But very similar with that retail background and that passion in the industry, and very lucky to get to do what we do today.
I love that. I feel the same way. Like I started like I think most of us, right? Like we had this same like it's pretty cool to hear other similar stories. Man, that for me now going on 3 decades in this industry, that tells you how old I am. Um, it's been, we went through the Lance era, we went through the COVID era. Now I can't believe it's been like 6 years post COVID, and we're in this unique time where we're dealing with tariffs and a lot of uncertainty and inventory challenges. I've stayed in the industry because it's just like, I love it. It's passion, it's business, it's helping people find joy and freedom and stress relief on a bike. There's a lot of wins for me. I guess my question would be like with everything going on right now, like Mark, what keeps you kind of waking up every day excited to get into work and keep pushing forward?
I think, I mean, obviously I love cycling and I love bikes. I mean, I like the physical part of bikes, and the parts of bikes, and making cool stuff for people is something that I think drives us, especially on like brands like ourselves, which, we make all our own things. But I think also I really like the business of cycling as well, like the business part of doing it. And I think we all in the industry kind of recognize that the as an industry we operate a little bit differently than maybe some other industries do, and passion drives a lot of decision making, especially on the consumer end. I mean, with how consumers buy product and what they buy, what they don't buy. Likewise, how the IBDs in the distribution network interacts with consumers. Those are all like really interesting aspects that I think are pretty unique to our industry. And I think having, those are the kind of things that not everybody can kind of be part of that. And I really, I really cherish the opportunity and value the opportunity that we have to kind of like interact with people who are really passionate about things that they do. And so I mean, those are kind of some of the exciting parts that kind of keep me coming back every day to get up and get to work.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting way that our industry operates. I'm just thinking about Sea Otter. So, as the managing director of a brand, you work with retailers, but when you go to a trade show like Sea Otter, not only, and I call it a trade show, not only can you see the industry there, because the industry is there, retailers, other brands, but you're seeing so many consumers, and it gives you that firsthand, like, you see the rider's point of view, you see the retailer's point of view, and you're really in it. Like, I can't think of many other industries that put you in that position, right?
No, there isn't. I mean, Seattle is super unique too. I mean, it's definitely the leading event in North America, and yeah, you're seeing it checks pretty much all the boxes. You know, you're interacting with consumers, IBDs, you're talking to distributors, you're talking with bike brands, you know, you're talking with media. You've got people there racing. I mean, it really is the gathering of the tribe, so to speak, and so you're getting all these different aspects of interacting with people that you just don't really get at any other event, not with the kind of the breadth of what it is. And so it really is a very special event for us, and it's definitely the highlight of our calendar in North America, and something we put a lot of focus to. But yeah, just having the opportunity to have conversations with all those different people all in one day is something that's pretty special. And I don't think like other industries necessarily have that type of access to those type of varied partners and consumers on a daily basis. So yeah, it's a really special event for us.
It is like a gathering of the tribe. I love that statement. Steven, I think your role is so unique because you're the OEM sales manager, which means you get to work with brands to make sure that FSA or Vision components are stocked on their brands, which I think is probably like a win every day for you. It's pretty cool. And then you're also aftermarket, where you're helping maybe riders or retailers like solve issues or find their next best thing. Can you tell me more about your role? Because I'm super fascinated at how the two aspects of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the aftermarket side, you hit the nail on the head. It's working with dealers, but also work with large wholesale accounts. You can think of a competitive cyclist or an REI, but then also individual consumers in the end of the day. For the OEM side, it's also working with the small boutique OEMs all the way up to the larger OEMs. So very different conversations you're having on a daily basis. And that's what really gets me excited every day. It's a unique problem you have to solve. So when you're working with an IBD and talking to a shop, you could be trying to help out someone to get ready for a race in a weekend, and you're trying to problem solve issues, or working with a consumer to see how they can take a few pounds off their bike or get a little faster. And on the OEM, you may be looking at, spec for next year. Where can we partner with you in terms of what components you're looking for? So all those unique challenges really get you excited at the end of the day. And I always say in the morning, it's like it's a new problem you're going to solve, and that's what keeps me really excited about the industry. You never know what's going to happen, the next day or the day after that.
It is really cool. It's like you get to keep the stoke high, and you're like also part of like building out the future like product pipeline and working with brands. Like pretty sweet position that you have. So I want to just talk a little bit more about the brands now that I've kind of got to know you a little bit more, and hopefully our listeners are feeling all warmed up. Full Speed Ahead and Vision, both well-known brands. I feel like you've been in the cycling world, and the two brands complement one each other, in my opinion. But for our listeners who might not be familiar, maybe you could walk us through some history, the story of each brand, and how and why FSA and Vision integrate together. I don't know who wants to take on that one. That's a big one.
I can jump in on that one. So specifically, we'll talk about FSA first, and early '90s, founded Full Speed Ahead was founded in the U.S. And we had done a lot of things on like early CNC and 3D forging in the early to mid '90s. Had a focus on cranks and chain rings, headsets, bottom brackets in those early years, like a really core competency, kind of surrounding on the aluminum side of things. Set up our European office in the early 2000s, started to do carbon fiber cranksets in the mid 2000s, as well as started to go into handlebars, pioneered the compact crankset back in 2006. That was, I mean, it's the norm now, but at that point in time, it was very unique and innovative as to what it had done. Worked on compact handlebars also in the like around 2009 2010 timing. And we had also kind of moved into headsets had been a core business for us since the beginning, but also internal cable routing headsets. Around 2017 timing. So we've put a lot of effort on machining. We've got a pretty wide product selection within Full Speed Ahead. And then on the Vision side, that was a standalone separate brand founded in 1995. And if you're familiar with our logo, we've got an airfoil in our logo, and that kind of tells you everything you need to know about Vision. It's all about aerodynamics and making riders faster. And so we had one of the first integrated aero bars in 1998 that was ever done, and kind of came into the FSA family in around 2003. And so we've constantly put a focus on speed, engineering, performance, aerodynamics on the Vision side of things. Expanded into wheels, in the mid, like around 2010 timing. We've continued to push a lot on, high performance aerodynamic product on the Vision side. There's a little bit of differences between the two brands, but we definitely have racing at our DNA in both. We have a little bit of differing styles, but performance and is kind of aligned for both. But with Vision kind of focusing on the road, TT tri gravel side of things, and FSA more on gravel, MTB component side of things, as well as road and gravel. So we have a definitely like a unique kind of combination between the two brands.
I love it. And I feel like you're taking me right back to my racing phase because like in 2017, like I had the compact bar. I was so stoked. And being a retailer, we sold a lot of Specialized and Trek. And I remember the compact cranks coming out and spec'd on all the bikes. And then Vision, I think it was that integrated stem bar with the flat top. Like
Yep.
everyone, you know what I'm talking about, Steven.
Yeah.
Everyone was using it. It was like the two brands are well known. I was a triathlete as well for several years, so the Vision products were definitely in the wheelhouse with the wheels. Um,
Is your bike shop stuck in the same revenue plateau year after year? The NBDA's P2 program is the professional development experience that separates thriving retailers from surviving retailers. P2 connects you with industry experts and fellow dealers who've faced your exact challenges. Learn proven strategies for inventory optimization, staff management, and profit maximization. This isn't just theory, but real tactics you can implement immediately. Our members report average profit increases of 15 to 25% within the first year. Imagine what that could mean for your business, your family, and your future. The NBDA P2 program, because your business deserves more than guesswork. Visit nbda.com/P2 to learn more and register today. That's nbda.com/P2.
let's see. What about when we talk about heritage, style, and performance? Between the two brands, like how are retailers, I guess my question is like, do you feel like retailers are communicating the history, the style and performance and the why of the brands correctly? Or if you had to help retailers communicate that to the audience, where would you put maybe some of that help? I don't know if that's a question for Steven or.
Yeah, I can jump in a little bit, and Mark, you can add your 2 cents. But I definitely think we can always do a better job educating retailers in regards of, who Vision and who FSA is. Having the two brands can sometimes be confusing, but at the same time, I think we as a company do a great job in kind of telling our story and who we are and how we've come to be. When you look at the Vision side, you can definitely look at that more of that high performance. And when it comes to FSA, you can think more of that OEM a little bit, but also the gravel and the road aspect. So they kind of merge in between the two. But I think as a brand, we can always do better to educate our partners.
Yeah. I'm just thinking for retailers that are working with you, like FSA or Vision, are most of the time retailers having a direct relationship with the company, or are they going through a distributor?
It's a mixture. They will go to distributors. We do work very closely with the distributors here in the US, but we do have a direct relationship. We're one of the few brands that will always have a telephone number for someone to reach out to us and talk to us on the phone. We always return voicemails. We love talking to the shops and getting to know their issues, their problems, and how we can solve them. Since Mark and I both have a background in retail, we care very deeply about the IBDs, independent bike shops, and the struggles they are having these years because a lot of that is now sometimes battling online sales. So we are always looking to partner with them in any way possible to help grow their sales.
I love that you're working so closely, and thanks for being an MBDA member. I speak to many of our retailers who do work with FSA. I had a conversation with a retailer today telling him about this podcast. I don't know if many of our retailers know the expansive product line that both FSA and Vision have. So if we could just spend a minute, the full speed ahead line. I mean, we're talking chain rings, crank sets, bottom brackets, bottle cages, brakes, seat posts, wheel set. I mean, it's huge. Can you walk us through like maybe what some of your more I don't know, popular products are, or maybe even something that retailers don't know you have, but from the website traffic, you guys can see that consumers are loving this product, and maybe we as a retail industry need to pay more attention to it.
Yeah, so on the retail side, what we see really growing in the brand for FSA could be Cockpit is what's been a very strong seller for us. And that's the drop bar is a compact K-Force bar as you would see, back in the day, Sepp Kuss riding on his Cervelo. And then when it comes to some new products that I think retailers would be great to understand is that we have adapters now for all these internal cably routed bikes out there in the market that have their own proprietary handlebars. And retailers will run into an issue where someone will purchase that bike but need a completely different handlebar sizing. And sometimes they can't find that from the bike brand. And FSA has a solution with an adapter that will go to those internally cable routed frames to marry our components to them to make it functional, seamless, and really rider friendly. And that's been a real driver these last few years for the IBDs to kind of see that and help the fitters and the end consumer get a bike that fits them appropriately.
That's such a big difference. It's sometimes, we're working retail, we stock the same products. When we're doing fitting, we suggest the same things, but not until you get some of these new things in your hands do you realize, oh my God, this opens up a whole realm of possibility. So I think that's important to cover. And then looking at the Vision line, so I always think of it's the Metron bar, right? That's the one with the flat top, I think, right? Yeah. So can you tell me just, are there certain wheel sets that are really popular from what consumers are, looking at the website, what they're interacting with, or any product within the Vision line that maybe our retailers need to be aware of?
The wheels have been a real bellwether for us, have been growing our sales in the wheel category year after year. You can look at the Metron RS ceramic speed wheels that were just launched at Taipei Show as a brand new product that we just launched. That's been gaining a lot of pull in the market. And then after that, we do have a line that is more budget friendly. That's our SCSL wheel set. These will all have ratchet hubs. So really in line with what the industry is calling for. So the wheels have been a real strong shower for us. And then on some of the things that maybe dealers aren't aware of would be some of our TT extensions. Those are something that have been very strong for us. And we just launched a new one last year called the TFE Evo, giving the riders who are on the TT side or triathlon more ergonomic feel and a little lighter weight bar.
I always think of when I think about time trials, like Tour de France time, Spring Classics time. I mean, we're almost to the Spring Classics. We're coming, we're here. It's always a time for me where, we're talking more about, I think, TT products, or we're thinking more about these weight reduction or what can make us faster. Um, I know you work with several teams. So what's that concept like, and how do you decide, I don't know, who influences your product development strategy, and do you guys see an uptick in sales during this spring classics time, if you would, and maybe how can retailers capitalize on that too? Is it showing more products in store? I think always having a cool set of wheels could help.
It doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
Mhm.
I think having the product on hand to show to consumers is definitely key. There's definitely we work with a lot of pro tour teams, and that does that does give us a lot of direction on where we're going, especially with Halo level product. And at the same time, we're also looking at developing for a consumer who just is valuing increased longevity in their whatever that happens to be, whether that's a wheel set all the way down to a headset bearing. And so certainly having the product feature in races that people are seeing online on the weekends or during the week, if there's stage races, those are all, it's an important time of year for us certainly to see our products being used at the kind of on the world stage. But at the same time, we're also considering like how does that product translate back down to the end user who's using that, and what can they do with it on their daily rides, or their weekend ride, or they've got a Grand Fondo planned, or a gravel adventure, or the mountain bike ride that they do on the weekend. And so we're certainly looking at some of the product development steps that we take through through kind of being the influence at the professional level, and then how does that work back down to the end consumer. And then obviously having that at retail, having the whether that's samples at the IBD for people to test ride wheels or a handlebar, or other components, or being able to support the retailers through service and after sales support. Those are all steps for us to try to find a way to connect and ultimately serve the needs of the end user.
I'm always chatting with retailers about how they are the experts. And if someone like brings a bike in for service and they want to tune up, it's figuring out, okay, where are you using this bike? Why are you looking for this tune up? And if the rider comes back with, oh, I'm getting ready for this race, then it's not just doing the tune up. It's okay, well, let's look at your let's look at your gearing. Let's look at if it's a woman with narrow shoulders, let's look at your handlebar, but let's look at your bike position. And I think there's a huge opportunity to like not only help someone in their race, but to help them, feel better about their bike. So upgraded handlebar, more aerodynamic, a better wheel set. Man, if my mechanic was like, you'd really do better with a better set of wheels, I might be like, he just gave me permission to buy those. Awesome. But like we have to be at the retail level, we have to show the product, we have to be excited about it, and let the consumer know it exists. Because I mean, most people who come into our store, they're not spending, I mean, we hope they are spending their morning, afternoon, and night on the Vision or the FSA website, but they're probably not like, most everyday cyclists. So we need to show them what's out there. So I think having these products in store, or getting your team excited about them, as replacement parts or, upgrades is really important. So I kind of, I want to talk about how you're working with retailers. So retailers can purchase directly from Vision and FSA, is that correct? They would
Yep,
just,
that's correct. We have a
they,
dedicated B2B site that the wholesalers can log into.
so I saw you have a dealer locator on your website. So very easy for, if I'm searching on your website and to get excited and I want to go purchase something, I can find the closest dealer to me. And so what about, let's rewind. Where is the USA headquarters? Can you tell our listeners?
We're located in Mukilteo, Washington, which is just north of Seattle by about 20-30 minutes drive, depending on traffic.
Super easy. All right. So if a retailer has an account with you, they can pick up the phone and call and talk to someone and get real-time advice. And it's a great partnership and relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're available from 7:30 to 4:30 Pacific time every day on the phone. We've got a staff of people that are available to, both on the sales as well as on the customer service tech side of things. So obviously, with the breadth of our product line and the history of our product line, there's a lot of technical questions that come our way, and so we've got an educated team that's kind of there to help out and help diagnose problems, help find problems, or find answers to problems, I should say. And we've got a couple tools also online that can assist with IBDs or even end users to help kind of troubleshoot, like narrow down what the options are, what they should be looking for. So we've got a site that's kind of, we call it like our easyheadset.com and easybb.com. And they're basically sites where you can kind of type in the dimensions of your head tube, is, and, or, in the case of the bottom bracket shell, in order to kind of try to find out what are the bearings, what are the headsets that you would want to be using. So those are some tools that are really great for bike shops to be able to like really diagnose a headset that came on a bike from 2015 that they've got to try to figure out what the replacement is for this. And we just want to try to find some ways to support the retailers in that way.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah, I would imagine for a retailer, for a mechanic, it's a great idea to have a personal relationship or account set up with you guys so they can just call, ask, or use that easy thing on the website, which listeners will link in the show notes to the two websites so you can at least see them, and start your search there. Steven, I'm sure you talk with a ton of retailers almost on a daily basis. Like, can you tell some of the retailers who are maybe having great success in the relationship, or maybe some of the standout things that you take home at the end of the night that you're like, wow, I'm glad that we're doing this with that retailer?
Yeah, absolutely. With the retailer, it is education first and foremost about our brand and about our products because we have such an expansive product range. So really getting the retailers educated and excited about the product we're pushing and also having the right spec. Our road wheels are hooked, so that has been a great seller for our IBDs. And then also making sure we're partnering with them and seeing the success they have. If we're going to do what we call like a map break, or we're going to go dropping our retail a bit lower for our consumers, well, we're going to give the same discount to our wholesalers so they keep their margins and they are not going to be undercut by any third-party sellers. So we really value that relationship with the IBDs because we understand the headwinds they have in this new, you could say, the buy now, get it right away Amazon market style. So how can we help them? And when they understand that we're all in this and together and want to help them grow, they're elated to see that because sometimes they don't see that every day. And if we can show them the value that we're going to give them, it helps them push our brand.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I'm just thinking of retailers who maybe are crushing it with wheel sales or maybe selling more handlebars than other retailers. Are those retailers maybe, I don't know if you have like a test program or a demo program. Is there anything that you're seeing that certain retailers are doing to have more success selling more wheel sets or more handlebars in store or other?
Yeah, exactly right. What we do with some of the close relationships we have, we can do demo programs with them. We'll also give them displays in their stores of our products so people can see them. And we can offer these on extended terms. Sometimes we do them on consignment just to show a good faith that we're willing to give the product first, knowing that it would be, it's going to attract sellers and consumers. And once the IBDs see that, then we see more orders come from them and the growth of the brand. But as a brand, FSA and Vision, we like to kind of give the retailers the information and the product they need and kind of lead them to that growth.
I'm thinking about growth, and the gravel category seems to be one right now that there's still just an incredible amount of buzz. Is there any products maybe for our retailers or anyone who's listening, gravel side that you're, particularly stoked on, or that you'd want to point out to our listeners to check out that maybe they're not aware of?
On the gravel side, yeah, there's two things, a couple actually components I could say that have come out that have been quite big. The brand new one would be a wheel set we just launched, which is the SC48 I-25 wheel set. It's been a really great aero gravel wheel set that has been hard to keep in stock, which is nice to hear. It's an aggressive price point under $2,000 retail. And then we have a new carbon handlebar, the K-Force AGX. So it's a evolution of our very popular K-Wing AGX bar. It has a really nice flare to it. It's a shallow 120 drop. But the nice thing is that you're able to put extensions on this, carbon extensions, which a lot of people do like to do in the gravel world. So you can use it for gravel racing, but also bike packing. And you can easily install these extensions onto the bike and onto the handlebar. So those are two products that have really been growing here in the US market. and the gravel scene has really been receptive towards.
Hey everyone, it's Frances, and I want to talk about community, specifically the Canadian bicycle retail community. For years, Canadian retailers have traveled to our US summits. You've told us you want something closer to home, something that speaks directly to your market. We hear you. The NBDA Retailer Summit Canada happens this year, July 29th and 30th, and it's built for you. Main stage sessions in the morning featuring Canadian retail leaders, interactive flow sessions in the afternoon where you problem solve with peers facing the same challenges. We're diving into what matters, exceeding customer expectations in the Canadian market, winning inventory strategies for your season, staff development, service center profitability, and the e-mobility opportunity in Canada. And here's what makes this extra special. Your distributors are already behind you. HLC, OGC, LTP, and Giant are supporting this summit because they're invested in your success. Registration is $250 for retailers or $200 for NBDA members, and just $175 for each additional team member. Visit nbda.com and register today. Summit Canada, this year, July 29th and 30th.
I like that. And then I'm a mountain bike rider. So looking at the Enduro, did FSA just launch a new, what is it, gradient series? It's like handlebar stem, crankset wheels or something. Did I see that?
Yeah, we
Yep.
launched that last Sea Otter, so it's still relatively fresh in the market, and that was built off of a lot of co-development that we did with the Atherton team as well as some other gravity-related athletes. We put a lot of push into, I mean, that's cranks, that's wheels, as well as cockpit, and so those products have been in the market and continue to do well, and especially with us being located in the Pacific Northwest, we've got, I mean, a lot of trails to do ride testing. Our mountain bike product management's done out of our office as well, and so we put a lot of work and effort into the Gradient line that had launched this last year.
Yeah, it's like a great price point, really user friendly, like understated but not. And I don't know, it seems like the enduro world is really loving it. So good news. Are retailers picking up on it? Like I just want to make sure people know all the cool tech you guys got out there. There's so much happening, huh?
Of course, I've always would like to see more being in sales. So I do think the retailers are adopting it, but it's a great product, and the feedback we've been getting from the riders and from the consumers has been really strong. Lifetime warranty on these products, and I've had people that take these, whether it be the Colorado Rockies or here in the Pacific Northwest, even out east to a rock garden, that bash our products and then email us the next day saying, I can't believe the wheel set's still intact. So we're making some great product for these riders.
It's true, right? Like I get so stoked on upgrades, and like I think everyone who's listening, like any bike that comes into your store, like let's get that rider a upgrade because like listen, don't we all want another bike or we all want something new and fancy for our bike? We just need someone to tell us it's okay, right? And to plant the seed, right? So I think as retailers and staff members, we need to plant the seed. All right, how about this? I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this. Mark, what's your like go to like between the two brands, like what product are you riding on your bike right now or you wish you had on your bike? Just like single me out on one thing that I know one thing.
Product I have on my bike right now would be the Metron RS carbon wheel set on that I'm riding on my road bike right now, and so that's and product that I wish I had on my bike would be the Powerbox Team Edition power meter crankset that I do not have yet on my bike, but that's the one that I am planning to put on my bike next. So those are the kind of both, and I'm more on the roadside right now as the weather's getting a little bit better here. But those are the kind of the I currently have and will have to have in the future.
Yeah, I think having that power, output is really important. So the wheel set, you notice the big difference from the wheel set you were on?
Yeah, huge. A 60 millimeter depth is what I'm riding, and so that's definitely made a huge difference aerodynamic wise, and the carbon spokes provide quite a bit of comfort benefit. And the stiffness is great, and so the handling is good, lightweight. So even like steep climbs, the wheel set performs super well. And on the flats, the 60 millimeter depth, we do all the aerodynamic testing in house and development in house. So it's got a nice balance between aerodynamics and it doesn't create any problems when you've got like high crosswinds. So overall, that wheel set really performs very well for us.
And that's a good like everyday ride wheel set, Mark.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely at the premium as far as performance goes, but I ride it every day on my road bike, and it pairs really well with 28C tires. So you've got some of that compliance of the wider tire, and that wheel was kind of designed around wider tires to begin with, and so the aero benefits there are really second to none.
Yeah, and whoever says it's not about the wheel, they are totally lying because it's all about the wheel. Totally, we all know that. We all know that. What
Yeah.
what about you, Stephen? What would be your product?
Yeah, I'll do the flip side, say on the mountain bike side. Mine the KFX wheel set, which has been so if you think of the Gradient as that enduro downhill, the KFX is our all trail XC wheel set. Um, that's been a great wheel set. It's a 54 tooth ratchet hub, so really high engagement. And then what I really wish I could have on my bike moving forward would be our new KFX crankset. So I'm running an older SLK crankset, which is carbon, but we're launching the KFX crankset. And it's just been incredibly lightweight crankset, and I think it just works beautiful as well.
So will it be super, it'll be stiff but subtle at the same time? So like what is it about the crankset? Just give me a little bit more.
Yeah, so the KFX crankset is an actually alloy crankset, CNC machine bonded crankset. It's lighter than our carbon SLK and K-Force crankset we had in the past. Then it's also a direct mount, so you can easily adjust the chainrings you want, but also go from standard to boost spacing with the same spindle. So it allows the rider to really have one crankset to kind of do it all.
Wow. Now I'm like drooling a little bit over here, and I'm just thinking back to when I was like, I used to go through my road bike, and Mark, you might have done this, like analyze every single thing, like for weight, for how it fit me. Like aluminum can be much lighter than carbon. Carbon's not always like the premium. Yes, it can be stiff, but it's fun to like look at every single one of those components. And I'm just trying to think like retailers, if they work with you guys, they have access to like this is like drool worthy stuff that does enhance the performance. And I think we have an obligation to get people stoked on their bike again. We need to get people stoked on their ride again. And this is the way. So, what about what's coming down the pipeline? I know you can't share all your secrets, but anything like in the works that you could share or
Mark, I'll
Well,
leave you on this
both of you are
one.
kind of smiling at each other.
yeah, I mean, we're always developing something. I mean, we've got products in the pipeline, at least for the next 2+ years. We've got some things launching. Steven mentioned we've got a Metron RS ceramic speed combo wheel set that just launched at Taipei, and we'll also have it at Sea Otter. We've got gravel wheels that had just launched. We've got some other gravel product in the pipeline that's coming. I think there's a lot of exciting things happening around gravel specifically. Not that it isn't on the road side, but on the gravel side, especially in the U.S. market, there's some exciting things coming from us that people will see over the next year. There's some road product that we've got also that's in development. We'll probably see some of those things start to show up on World Tour bikes coming in July, and then we've got some mountain bike product that likewise is in development, and those kind of things we'll be seeing probably more towards fall and next spring. So we had a pretty big launch year last year. This year we've got a little bit, and then we've got a lot more coming. So just kind of touching on like some of the key, kind of key categories that we're playing in.
I like to think about innovation coming down the pipeline. Maybe Stephen, I'll ask you this one. So I know you connect with consumers if they call in and they need help or they're trying to figure out or diagnose something. It's April. 2026. We're in this kind of weird, funky time in the world. Global crisis is happening, whatnot, but it is spring for many areas. So, how can we as an industry best serve the consumer right now? Based on the conversations you're having, like, what do you think how we could best as an industry serve the rider?
Yeah, with springtime, you can think almost like that rebirth. Things are starting to be coming in bloom. You're getting your bike out of the shed. Now's the time to take it to your local bike shop and get it serviced. Replace your bearings as your aluminum wheel set rusted out, and maybe you need to get a new upgrade, that new Carbon RS we've been talking about. So now that we're in April and in transition from March to April, you're talking to those IBDs and making sure that they're going to be well stocked on those service parts. Do you have chains, chain rings? Are you low or anything that we can help you out with? We always do a spring map break in conjunction with the spring classics to kind of incentivize those IBDs, like the season starting. Now's the time to get restocked up on those service parts, and also the Halo product that we are going to be pushing. You'll be seeing on the race scene. That's something I think Vision and FSA does a great job of, is being on that local race scene and also the international race scene. So when people start to see more of us, then they can go to their shops and pick it up as well.
Yeah, let's make sure we're ready, right? Yeah. And then I
Mhm.
guess, Mark, from your standpoint, you're the USA Managing Director. I'm sure that you're juggling a lot of hats, but also how the brand connects with retailers is probably one of those, making sure the programs are in place and the product is here and timely delivery. Like what's on, state of the industry right now? What's on your brain as far as an important thing in the role that you have to keep doing? Or even just not you, but just brands and retailers working in partnership, I guess, right now.
I think sharing of information is really important. I think that's why being in an event in person, like Sea Otter or like I was at Taipei or other places where you can kind of interact with distributors and also with retailers, it just kind of learning what their challenges are and how you can, how can we be better as a brand, but also as an industry, whether that's on fulfillment, whether that's on sharing of technical information or sales information or being able to find ways to support retailers in like creative or unique ways. Like Stephen had mentioned earlier about, a demo programs or, having product in stock to be able to like show to end users and how can we kind of provide that information and those products to people. But then also, how do we make sure that we have those products here on time so that we're able to fulfill those, out to our partners. And then, of course, like we're working with our factory, that we have and making sure that we've got orders that are set up and, when do we have, when are we receiving product and, what does that product look like? So we're like, those kind of things are already planned out for the next, 6 to 9 months. And, like, how do we kind of adjust and make sure that we have some flexibility there that also can accommodate the flexibility in the market. But it's, as you mentioned, it is a challenging time, I think, globally, not just like geopolitically, but also economically. But at the same time, bikes have never been better. And I mean, I think we're living at a time when it's a fantastic time to be a cyclist because I don't think we've ever had a time when bikes can perform and provide the kind of the overall performance that they've ever provided. So like, yeah, there's a lot of challenges happening right now, but at the same time, like, wow, bikes are awesome. So it's like it's a great time to enjoy cycling.
I love that. It is. I mean, think about all the technology just coming down the pipeline, and we have bikes for every rider and anyone who wants to be a rider. So it is an exciting time. And I push on the brands. I say open up those lines of communication with your suppliers. So like, we're talking a little bit about having the product in store and suggesting to the rider, hey, there's this wheel set that exists, or there's this crank that exists, or maybe you want to consider a different handlebar, and maybe just we're getting some people thinking. But for our listeners, my next challenge is, hey, if you want to actually do that and you want to get started with like FSA or Vision or another brand, whatever you want to do, call the brand and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. How can I best sell wheels? What have you seen work well, right? And you're going to help them, right, Stephen? Like that's like you have ideas, right? So
Absolutely right. And that's something that I love about my job is all the different types of people you get to talk to in a given day, whether it be the end consumer or the bike shop. But when they say, hey, I'm building up this bike, and like, oh gosh, let's get into it. What do you need from us? What can I help you out with? So it's something that I always get excited about. And you're absolutely right. It's something that we're unique to do. And give us a call. We're bike nerds and we love to talk bike parts.
Totally. So just walk me through the steps if I have retailers listening and they want to get started with FSA. Let's start with FSA. What steps should they take if they want to become a direct wholesale partner of yours?
There's two main ways they could do it. First would be reaching out to us via email, which would just be sales@fullspeedahead.com, or you can call our line anytime. That's on our pro shop where they can always see our direct line, call us up, and we'll be able to help them get set up as a dealer. We try and make it as painless, as easy as we can. And it can typically be done in one phone call or one email, and you can be set up in the same day and be ordering that night.
Awesome. So sales@fullspeedahead.com.
That's correct.
Okay. And then what about for Vision? What's the step there?
It's the similar step.
Oh, it's a similar. Okay. All right.
Absolutely right. Yep.
So similar or same? I'm sorry. Is there a different email or?
Exactly the same email and same phone number.
All right. We got it. I got it. So sales@fullspeedahead.com. Well, Steven and Mark, thank you so much for your time, for coming on the podcast, for sharing more about your personal journey and your favorite products that you're riding right now. That was fun. I've definitely got my stoke level high. I'm thinking about my gravel bike and what I maybe need to upgrade. And hopefully our listeners are getting excited. Spring is here. The riders, for retailers listening, let's motivate our riders. Let's outfit their ride with something cool and unique. And for riders who are listening, head over to your retailer and ask for something cool. It makes a big difference. I don't know, Mark, did I tell you I used to work for Ridley, and I went to visit Yoakum and into the wind tunnel they have there. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if
Yeah, it's fantastic. Anytime you get a chance to go test in the tunnel is fabulous. We've actually got a tunnel test coming up in May. We did some testing earlier this year. We go at least once a year that kind of is the final validation of the product before we put it into production, and it kind of goes out to the athletes. So it's a great experience.
It's a totally great experience, and it does make a difference. Like the wheel sets, like all of this, it does actually make a difference, and it makes your bike look freaking cool too. So then you just feel good. But yeah, thanks guys. I hope to see you at one of the shows coming up. Thanks for all you do for the industry, for working with the NBDA, for supporting our retailers. Really appreciate you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending time with us on Bicycle Retail Radio. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe and share it with another retailer who could use the insight. Join us every week for new conversations and fresh perspectives to keep you ahead of the curve. The NBDA is constantly creating events, webinars, and resources built specifically for bicycle retailers. Check out what's coming up at nbda.com. Shout out to Francis Abbott for today's graphics. Interested in sponsoring an episode or know someone we should talk to? Head to nbda.com. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.